Hello and welcome to Reporters, the show that brings you the best of France 24 reporting from around the world. Well, in this edition, we bring you a report on the aftermath of the floods in Pakistan in August. More than a quarter of the country was submerged underwater. Well, the floods sparked by heavy monsoon rains were the worst that Pakistan has ever seen. About 2,000 people were killed. 20 million Pakistanis lost everything. Their homes, their possessions, their crops. Well, the catastrophe brought Pakistan to its knees. We take a look at how the country's doing 3 months after the floods. What has become of those who lost everything? Our reporter Cédric Molenson went to the worst hit region to find out. Take a look at his report.
Here in the north of Pakistan, the sky has kept up its relentless downpour for 5 days now. Each new storm bringing panic to locals. In Nowshera, close to Peshawar, the river swelled to bursting point, becoming a monster sweeping away everything in its path.
That was a watch, my sister's watch.
And this is jewelry.
Just a few valuables remain, a handful of photos snatched from the waters.
That's me and...
This is all that the river left for the Khan family.
This is Nikanama.
When your house is gone and there's nothing left and you have nowhere to go, and then you don't have anything to eat for like 1 or 2 days because there's nothing in the market. Everything was flooded. There was nothing left anywhere, and people, it was a devastation. Something like, I mean, it's unexplainable.
This is the devastation. Look at.
This was the 3rd of August, the day after the worst disaster in Pakistan's history. The day Hammad KHAN and his father Khalid returned to their home in Nowshera for the first time.
This is the water level till which it rose. That line.
48 hours earlier, a muddy torrent slammed through the house. Along with 20 million other Pakistanis, Khalid KHAN lost everything.
Without any exception, every house in this city is totally destroyed. The government should be present here. I mean, those people who are homeless, they should be given food, they should be given shelter. There is no presence at all of the government. This is the tragedy.
And there are ruined cities like Nowshera all over Pakistan. 2,000 people dead, 1 million homes destroyed. Survivors were left to their own devices by authorities unable to cope.
Stop your pushing! Get back! Get back!
Half the population of Pakistan used to live off domestically produced food. Now that the farmlands are ravaged, they face a long and hungry struggle.
The flood has done the damage. People have saved their life, but the story then starts, what after that? What after that?
1 month on, and Khalid KHAN's house has recovered somewhat, thanks to the efforts of his family and neighbours. Today it's Khalid's brother who's rolling up his sleeves and lending a hand. Things are coming along well, but there is plenty of hard work ahead.
Okay, now after almost 1 month of cleaning, 5 to 6 people worked together, but still we are not able to make this house livable. So we are still IDPs, living with others, and this is the situation. I don't know what to do.
All Khalid's worldly goods are here, remnants of his former life.
These are the books of my daughter.
It may not look that way, but Khalid came out of the disaster much better off than many of his neighbours.
I think that I'm in a little better position, but there are people who have totally lost their everything. They are not only shelterless, they are not only jobless, they are not only livelihoodless. I mean, everything is destroyed. So they are desperate.
For several kilometres, tents line the roads, the symbol of Pakistan's crisis. These people quite simply have nowhere else to go. The city's university has become its largest refugee camp, with 5,000 people being provided for by the government. Even here, though, aid supplies are only trickling in, And survival is a fight.
You see these people, they've turned to begging. If there'd been enough official aid, they would never have been forced to do that.
Ghulam Mohammed has been in this tent for 6 weeks now, along with his mother, brothers, sister and their children.
What is it? Is it medicine?
No, it's food. This is enough to live on for a few days. We get a little something every week, but it's never really enough.
The family's meals are small. The heat is unbearable. And sanitation is catastrophic. As for hope, that left the camp a long time ago.
We've been here for a month and a half now, and it's been a month and a half that we've been waiting for the authorities to do something. They could have started helping us to go home so we could start getting back on our feet. God didn't put us on earth to live like this. But what can we do? We don't have any choice.
For the time being, Ghulam is in no position to leave his temporary home. It's more than a month after the flood, and no rebuilding work has begun in the town.
There it is, that's all that's left of the house. See how the waters took everything. We can't live here anymore.
The river is more than a kilometre from this neighbourhood, and the flood water still managed to submerge it.
Maybe there's something left under here.
I'm really scared about what will happen in the winter, about where we'll go, what we'll do. Everything here has been destroyed, me included.
Ghulam is a farmer, but his fields are now wastelands. Unless government help comes, it'll be impossible to get things going again, and promises that have been made have not been kept.
We were supposed to get some money before the end of Ramadan, but we're still waiting for it. They say it's been delayed, but me personally, I don't think we'll ever see it. You know, the people who hold the power in this country, the mayors, ministers, our president, all they want to do is fill their own pockets. So they pray for catastrophes like this to happen because they know it's a way to get rich. For us, it's a curse. For them, it's a miracle.
Corruption hangs like a shadow over Pakistan. $500 million have already been sent, but flood victims suspect it's been diverted away from them. So today, Khalid Khan is heading to the local government offices to try to get some answers.
I'd like some information about the reconstruction of Nowshera. Can you tell me who's in charge of it?
For that, you have to see the DCO.
The DCO is the central government's regional representative. In Nowshera, his name is Ali Anan QAMAR, and he is the person charged with managing the city's reconstruction.
Why are you here, please?
I'm from Nowshera, and I'd like to know if you have plans for the city's reconstruction.
As far as rebuilding houses goes, we don't have the money for that. It's up to residents to do that themselves. Obviously, we'll try to help them, but it will take time and money.
Several $1 billion, according to the Pakistani government. The international community is hesitant to put its hands in its pockets, but the authorities here are trying to offer reassurance.
I don't think corruption should be such a large issue that the donors or international agencies should stay away from helping Pakistan. It may be an issue at some local or some minor places, but overall the general idea is to help the people, not to make money out of this situation.
Many donors and victims remain unconvinced. Recent history does not reflect favourably on Pakistan.
Corruption multiplied by the absence of governments, very, very big concern. That's why people are not trusting. Look at the people who suffered from the earthquake. They didn't get the promised aid or the promised help. So based on that experience, people have little hope from this government.
That earthquake in October 2005 led to the deaths of 80,000 people in the mountains of Kashmir. 5 years later, our team returned to the town of Balakot, a symbol of unprecedented devastation.
I got home that day and found my wife under the rubble. It was too late, we couldn't save her, but the kids made it.
5 years on, and Mohammad ASHRAF is still living on this hill in Balakot with his 4 children. This fragile hutch is their only shelter, the only help they received after the earthquake.
I'm scared for my children here. But what other options do we have? At the time, they promised us all kind of help. And we know the foreigners gave money, but we haven't seen any of it.
In Balakot, 5,000 families are in the same precarious situation and have been for 5 years. The government promised to build them a brand new city, courtesy of foreign donors. But since then, not a single stone has been laid. The entire project is stalled. Those who believe the government's promises, like Mohammed TALIM, regret it bitterly.
We lost everything we had in a landslide that came after the earthquake. So we came here because the government gave us this document and said we could live in the new city. But there is no new city, and we have nothing at all.
Our tents aren't made to withstand this snow. It's going to be really hard for the children.
Next winter, those who lost their homes in the recent floods could well suffer the same fate. It's Friday, prayer day in Nowshera. The men are celebrating Eid, which marks the end of Ramadan.
If you're rich, come and see those who have nothing. Sleep where they sleep. Help them out of their misery.
But nobody in Nowshera has the means to answer the Imam's prayers. Each of these men has been affected by this natural catastrophe. Each of them knows the coming months will be hard to endure.
As long as the hopes of living is concerned, I think we'll pull on. And most of the people will pull on. But the economic outlook seems very, very bleak. And the big danger is that it will create another hatred against the government. And people will turn to may turn to violent ways because they will be having no other choice.
Pakistan's powers that be have a simple choice to make. Extend a helping hand to 20 million flood victims or be swept away themselves.
Well, I'm now joined here in the studio by the reporter who brought us that story, Cédric Moll-Laurençon. Cédric, the main character in your story, Khalid Khan, ends by saying that the real aftermath of these floods could be the rise of extremism.
You have to understand that at the beginning of this crisis, there was a split between the Pakistani government and people. The Pakistani people haven't forgotten that at the beginning of the catastrophe, the president, Asif Ali Zardari, spent 10 days in luxury hotels in Paris and London. He didn't interrupt his trip when 20 million people were losing everything. People haven't forgotten this, and this caused a great wave of anger against the authorities. And this anger is being exploited by the many extremist groups. They will exploit it in order to recruit and destabilize Pakistan even more.
Because, of course, the vacuum left by the government was filled in many regions by the extremists.
Yes, there are winners and losers in this crisis. The loser is the Pakistani government, which has lost all its credibility. And there are two winners. First of all, the Pakistani army, which reacted well, responded well to this crisis. They reacted very quickly, and they have taken advantage of this to improve their reputation. And then the extremist groups are also the winners. There are many of them in Pakistan, and they have helped the people. They helped the people at the beginning of the crisis, notably the Lashkar-e-Taiba, who were responsible for the attacks in Bombay. They distributed a lot of money and aid in the areas that were affected by the flood. So after this catastrophe, the groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba will take advantage of this aid and of their popularity to gain more influence.
So, Cédric, what does the future hold for the Pakistanis that lost everything?
Well, the United Nations organization is asking for $2 million to help these people, emergency aid, and less than half of this amount has been collected. So today, most of the victims are living in absolutely catastrophic conditions. The winter is beginning in Pakistan. People have lost all their harvest, so there is the risk of famine in the country. The future looks very bleak for the great majority of people.
And what touched you the most when you were filming this report?
When we arrived on the spot, the area looked like it had been affected by an earthquake. Everything was destroyed. People had nothing. The camps were full of people who often were fighting for food, and yet people were very dignified. People accepted their fate. And what struck me also was the visit to several mosques during the floods, and the imams in the mosques, each time they preach, explained to the people that these floods were caused by their sins. And in fact, these floods were due to the Pakistanis themselves. And this probably explains why they made people feel guilty, and it explains why the Pakistani people hasn't rebelled against its government.
All right, thank you very much, Cédric Moll-Laurençon. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Do join us again next week for more reports. Goodbye.